Guts, what do you remember about him? Yo. That hit me, right square in the chest, like, it's been 2 decades. It's been 2 decades since we've seen Kostka talk. It's been so long, and my god, just seeing this chapter as a Berserk fan, I got emotional. I'm emotional right now. Just, I'm imagining all the images of this chapter in my mind, and just the journey that Guts has been through, and just thinking about this chapter, just like, Kentaro, just like, you're delivering some quality with this month. You really are. But, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but apparently this is the final chapter for a while. We are going on hiatus, and of course, it makes sense. I mean, after the phenomenal last chapter to the masterpiece that is this chapter, it makes sense that Berserk would go on hiatus. I mean, we're at a very critical part of the series of Berserk. This is something that has been building up for a very long time, for years upon years. This scene that we got in this chapter and last chapter is been building up, and it's finally happened after just such a long journey, after 2 decades, and Guts' struggles to get to this very point. We finally have Casca back. She finally has her mind. She finally remembers. She is able to speak with others, and it's just a completely emotional scene, because if you are like me when it comes to reading series, especially Berserk, you grow attached, and I've grown quite attached to the characters of Berserk, because if there's one thing that Kentaro has done a wonderful job with when it comes to this series, is that he knows how to properly write a character, and how the characters can carry a story. The story of Berserk is amazing, but it's a character-driven story. This story just thrives off of these amazing characters that could just really stand out and hold the story just on their own. And that's why I've always loved Berserk. And finally seeing Kostka remembering, and she has these little images pop up in her head throughout the journey, from the Tower of Conviction arc, she says she remembers stuff, to the recent stuff with Guts obtaining his Berserker armor, to the stuff on the boat. I mean, there's been little fragments here and there that Kostka has seen, and she even states in this chapter that she feels like she has been in a dream. She's been able to kind of grasp what's been going on, but overall she's been in a dreamlike state. And she does admit she knows some things that happened. She does slowly start to remember everything. And when she wakes up, you see how all of her memories literally start flooding into her mind once again. You see just the bubbles and stuff and the different memories popping up in Kostka's head as they flow back within her. And I really love the imagery of this. Just Kentaro did a fantastic job at showing how Kostka was remembering the entire journey. In a way, this entire segment of the chapter was a montage for the journey after the eclipse, ever since Kostka lost her memories. I also like the symbolic message with Kostka gaining back her memories. I don't know how many noticed this or not, but the imagery of Kostka's memories flooding back, and you see how, it slowly gets, deeper and deeper into her mind as she continues to remember. It's kind of similar to how the layers are, the astral layers. As we know, you go deeper and deeper down, eventually you will get to the abyss. And, we don't really know what is down there, as we know through the lost chapter that was kind of removed. We do know that it's no longer technically canon, but we do know that deeper down you get to the God Hand and stuff like that. And I feel like the imagery of Kostka having her memories flood back into her started all peaceful and sweet, and as she got deeper and deeper, it got a little bit more, darker, like you see little darker things pop up. And then when you see Guts pop up, it's like she's on the bottom floor of the astral layers, and then you see the darkness set in, and you see, the actual eclipse pop up behind Guts. It's kind of similar to the astral layers. I feel like that's what Kentaro was implying with that scene with Kostka's memories just flooding back into her mind. But, let's talk about, what happened at the end there, okay? Because that's going to be something that everybody is going to be discussing. So, Kostka, she's starting to remember. Not just the good memories, but the bad memories. And it makes sense. You can't just have all good, you can't just have all bad. Everything has to flood in, and this is the big critical part, or critical moment for Kostka. She needs to understand that she cannot, actually back away and hide within the safety of her mind anymore. She needs to be able to accept everything that happened, and I feel like with Guts being there, or her seeing him, I feel like he's going to be the main point of, like, holding her in this plane of existence, where she doesn't want to retreat back into her mind. I see Guts helping her out, and in a way, when you look at this, I feel like what's about to happen in the next chapter, Guts and Kostka are finally going to have the heart-to-heart conversation, something that should have happened a very long time ago. When Guts made his declaration of war, when he ran out there and wanted to take down all of the demons because of what happened to his family, what happened to Kostka, he was angry. He declared a declaration of war, and you could assume from all of this is that at that time, if Kostka wouldn't have broke down, they would have probably been able to talk things through, and Guts might not have been as reckless as he was in the Black Swordsman arc. And I feel like with Guts being there, they're going to have a talk, and they're going to be able to finally make peace with the past, because they now have a new future, they have a new group, and it's not like they're going to forget about the people they've lost. They're not going to do something like that, but it's more along the lines of them being able to accept what happened and try to move forward and figure out what they need to do next. And I do believe that Kostka, at the end of the day, she's not going to probably throw away her anger towards Griffith when she does find out. When she remembers everything, I do believe that, like I said in my previous review of Berserk, she's probably going to pull a Black Swordsman. Maybe not be as reckless as Guts, but I definitely see her being fueled by revenge, especially with what happened to her child, especially when she finds out what Griffith did to her child. I do believe that she will go very far to exact revenge against Griffith, but we'll see where it goes. I do believe at the end of the day, Guts will probably calm her down. He'll be the main, stopgap for her to not go overboard and do something insane. But I don't believe that she's going to go crazy again. It would be very, very poor writing if Kentaro decided to make Kostka go crazy again because of her remembering the eclipse. And knowing how good of a writer Kentaro is and how great, Berserk's writing has been, I doubt we'll have something like that repeat. So Kostka's finally having to, wake up and face the music of what happened. And it's going to be a very heart-touching next chapter when it finally does come out, however. Now, I do want to mention that the attire that Kostka, had on her in this chapter, it was very similar to the Fairy Queen. I don't know how many noticed that. We all know Kostka is not one to really be pretty like Princess. I mean, she can have a girly side to her, but there is one thing that I think many of us know if you remember Kostka's character, and I understand if you don't. I mean, it's been 2 decades, okay? I mean, if you've been reading the series for that long, so it's understandable why many might have forgotten a little bit about Kostka's character, but she's not one to really get that girly. And so I feel like the dress overall, even though she is wearing it, she's trying to meet Guts, it doesn't really fit her overall, because she's more of a strong woman. She's more of someone that's a fighter, and she would definitely be on the front lines with Guts, fighting with Guts. If she actually had her memories throughout this entire series, she would have been fighting with him this entire time. So just seeing the dress on her, it's very weird. It definitely is un-Kostka-like, but I do think it's very appropriate for, Kostka remembering everything and, meeting Guts once again, someone that is the love of her life. I do believe that this is a great turning point, and, this might also show that maybe Kentaro is implying that she might put aside, the battle-hardened future and maybe want to have a nice and, relaxed life with Guts. Who knows? But I did want to point out the attire, and I did want to point out the little thing about Kostka. So, the last thing to really talk about, I guess let's talk about the hiatus. I mean, we all knew the hiatus was going to happen. It was bound to happen, okay? I mean, with all the stuff that's been happening in the series, all this progression, I think anyone that didn't really expect it or see it coming, honestly, hasn't really been reading Berserk that long. I mean, even for me, even though I haven't read as long as many countless others out there, it's very obvious by the way we've reached this point, it's time for Kentaro to kind of back up, put the series on hiatus, and figure out what he needs to do next. Because, like I said already, this is a crucial moment for Berserk as a manga. And now that one of the main objectives has been accomplished with Kostka gaining back her memories, we can now finally move on to the final segment, the final arc of Berserk, which is taking down the God Hand, and also having Guts have a future with his family, or unless he dies. That also could happen. This is Berserk at the end of the day. But still, the thing is that with the hiatus, I think it's a good time for it. It gives Kentaro enough time to figure out what he needs to do next. Because if there is one thing that I can appreciate from a writer, is that if they take the time to study and figure out where they need to take their story. And I believe Kentaro is not lazy when it comes to that regard. I do believe when he does take his breaks, he probably researches, he spends a lot of time racking his brain, figuring out what he needs to do next with his story. And so, it's going to be sad to see the series gone for a while, but I think many can agree that we can all look forward to the next chapter when it does release, because we can expect a Guts and Kostka chapter, with them finally talking about the good and the bad. I'm going to end this video here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe, and if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, I love you guys. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you live, and Kentaro, thank you so much for this wonderful series. Thank you so much for giving me so much enjoyment over the years I've been reading Berserk. So I love you guys. Chibi out.